Okay guys, so today we're going to learn how to do a mommy and baby elephant. So the mommy elephant, this gray is all completely connected on the same stitch. So there's no cutting. You start from the very center and we'll work our way around, and then I'll show you how to add on the tail, the legs, and the trunk. And then the eye and the ear we will make separate. And once you've done mommy elephant, baby elephant is pretty much the exact same thing, except for there's just less rounds and less stitches on each of the areas. So it's really easy once you get mommy done to be able to do baby. But for the tutorial, I am going to show you both. And then I'll end the tutorial with showing how I plan to add it to my chevron blanket that I made a tutorial, so you can go and check out my other videos and see the other blankets. But the nice thing is you can add these guys to any kind of blanket and it's going to look awesome. So I will go ahead and get started on mommy. So I'm using a dark gray medium number 4 yarn, and it's the same size yarn that I use for my chevron blanket. I did use a smaller hook. I'm using a 4.25 millimeter hook. And so when we do the baby blanket, we're going to do the magic circle. So this actually took me a little while to kind of get used to this. So you take your yarn and you put it over from behind, you put it over your first 3 fingers. Then you take your working yarn, you make an X in front, pull it down and back, and then I take my pinky and I hold it with my pinky and my thumb. When you flip over, you have your 2. Then you're going to take your hook and you're going to go under, and you're going to grab that back yarn and you're going to bring it forward and twist it so that you create a circle. Then the same yarn that you grabbed, so it's actually this yarn right here, okay? The same yarn. So if you pull your hook around, you can see the moving yarn. Don't grab the yarn on top. You grab the yarn on top, it won't work. So you grab the yarn in the back and you pull it and you twist it to where you can, do it again. Grab it and pull it to where you can twist it into the circle that's around your hook. Sometimes just this spot is just a little bit more complicated. And then when you let go, you're going to have a circle with a tail. And if it worked, you're going to be able to pull the tail and your circle is going to get smaller. So grab your working yarn and chain. And what we're going to do is we're going to chain 3. So that was 1, chain 2, chain 3. And then now we're going to do 11 double crochets in the circle. Okay, so we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Sorry, I think it might. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Sorry, you just need 11. Because the first chain 3 is your number 12. So the coolest thing about the magic circle is that you get plenty of room to be able to work your crochets, and then when you're done, when you pull on your tail, it will close your circle. So, and the reason why is because some people like a bigger circle, but when you're doing an elephant, you want no circle at all, or at least as much as possible. So what I do is I leave just a little bit of a circle there so I can go ahead and slip stitch into the top of my chain 3. So I go ahead and slip stitch, and then what I do is I pull that tail as tight as I can and try to get the smallest circle possible. So we will, all right, I just want to move that. So the next is chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to do a double crochet in that same space as the chain. And then now you're going to do 2 double crochets in every double crochet all the way around. So you can see the top of the double crochet, we're going to do 2 in every single one. So there's 1 and 2. Go to the next one, 2 double crochets. Go to the next one, 2 double crochets. Almost done. So you will have 24 double crochets when you are all done. So here we got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24. So then what we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch into the top of that first chain. And then we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. You're going to do a double crochet in the same space that you made that chain 3. And then what we're going to do is you're going to do 1 double crochet in the next space, and then you're going to do 2 double crochet in the next space, 1 double crochet in the next space, and then 2 double crochet in the next space. One double crochet, then 2. And you're going to keep doing that all the way around until you get around to the beginning, and then we will pick up and do the next round. Okay guys, so we are on round 1, 2, 3. So we're going to slip stitch into the beginning chain. So you ended with 1 in the last chain, and then you're going to slip stitch into the first chain 3. Now this is actually where we would stop with the baby, but since we're on mama, we have another 2 rounds to make. So chain 3, do a double crochet in the same space that you made that chain 3, then do a single crochet in the next 2 spaces, and then a double crochet in the next, 2 double crochets in the next space. So it's going to go 2 double crochet, single, single, 2 double crochet, single, single, all the way around. So I have my double crochet, single, single, double crochet, 2 of them in the same space, and then single, single, single double crochet, 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets. And then do that all the way around, and I will meet you on the next round. Okay, so we are at the end of round 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to slip stitch you should have ended with 2 singles, slip stitch into the first double, and then chain 3, and then we're going to double crochet into the same space. We're going to do a double crochet in the next 3 spaces. 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to do 2 double crochets in the next space. And then we're going to do a double crochet in the next 3 spaces. 2, 3, and then 2 double crochets in the next space. So it's going to go 3 singles, 1 double, 3 singles, 1 double, 3 singles, 1 double, all the way around. And then I will meet you back, and the body of the elephant will be done, and we'll move on to adding all the other things. Okay, so we are at the end of our body of our elephant, so we're going to slip stitch. You should have ended with 3 single crochets, so you should have went double crochet in the same space, single, 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 and the next 3. So now we're going to chain 1. So you slip stitched in the beginning, chain 1. Now we're going to do a single crochet all the way around, but we're going to stop. So we are going to do a single crochet all the way around, but we're going to stop at certain points to do, and the first point is going to be the tail. So I go 1/4 of a way down my circle. So you have your center circle here, and let's treat it like a clock, okay? So you have your 9 o'clock over here. I did my tail right about 9 o'clock on my other. It was just a little bit lower, so maybe closer to 8 o'clock. I liked my tail being a little bit lower. Some people might want it a little bit higher, but I went just a couple stitches past 9 o'clock. So if you go single crochet is through the loop, grab your yarn, pull through both loops. Go through your loop, grab your yarn, pull through both. And then that's 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, these are single crochets. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Let's see where we're at. So I feel like 20 stitches is good. So what I did for the tail is I did 6 to 7 chains. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Feel like 6 is not enough. We'll go 7. And then I did a single crochet into the second chain, so the one right beside the last chain, and I did a single crochet into that one, and then I did a single crochet in every stitch, working my way back to my elephant, back to the body. So doing single crochets, and it will make your tail curve a little bit, which is what I like. If you don't want as much of a curve, do 8 chains, and then we're gonna single crochet back to the center. So you can see the tail. Now, I like the tail to curve just a little bit, okay? That way when you make baby will be able to kind of hook the tail a little bit, because baby's nose just curves a little bit, and then so you want mommy's tail to just curve just a little bit too. So it's already kind of, curling a little bit, and that was because we went into the hook that was right beside. So if you want to completely sew everything on your blanket and you want it to be completely flat, that's what it's going to look like. But if you let it go a little bit, it's going to curve. So you can sew it flat, but you know that it's going to look like this as opposed to a little bit of a corkscrew. So what I'm going to do is when I sew my elephant to my blanket, I'm not going to sew my tail down so that it will look a little bit 3D effect, but it will still be attached to the blanket pretty well. So now that we have single crocheted into the next chain, we're going to crochet down to the foot. So the foot starts here. So I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I'll show you what I did for the foot. So that was 1, go into the next space, single crochet 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then, so what I did was I chained 3, 1, 2, 3, and then I did a triple crochet. So yarn over, go into the next space, pull up, and pull through, yarn over, go through the same space, pull up, pull through 2, and then pull through. So it gives a little bit more, and then I do a double crochet in the next 3 spaces. 1, 2, 3. Okay, see, kind of see the foot. And then let me just double check my work to make sure. Nope, we're going to do 1 more double crochet in the next space. And then chain 3, 1, 2, 3. And then you're going to slip stitch into the same space that you made that last double crochet. So there's your foot. You see the foot? Pretty close to. And then we're going to slip stitch in the next 3 spaces. So this way we're just going to bypass the work and not add any volume to the foot, so it gives it a little bit more, you know, the underbelly of the elephant. And then we are going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, do a triple crochet in that same space. Double crochet in the next 4 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, slip stitch into the same space as that last double crochet. And then now we're going to do single crochets until we get to the trunk. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see, how many did I do on here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're going to do 2 more single crochets. So this is just what I personally did, and you can change everything a little bit depending on how you want your how you want your elephant to look. So you can lay it down, make sure the feet are, the width that you want. If you don't like the width, like let's say you think this is too close and you want them just a little bit further apart, you can always just go back and slip stitch a little bit further. So you can slip stitch into the next one and then the next one, and then you can chain 1, 2, 3, do a triple, do 4 double crochets, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, slip stitch into that same chain, and then now you have a little bit more of a gap for your feet. So you can do whatever you want. So we're going to do 6 single crochets to get up to the trunk. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Let's see if that's where I want it to be. So my elephant is, nope, I need 2 more. So it's 8. At least that's what I did for my first one. Okay, so now I'm where I want the trunk to be, which is actually about 3 o'clock on the elephant. And we're going to chain 18. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do a single crochet in the next 7. So we're going to go back into the chains that we just made. So that's 2, single crochet, 3, single crochet, 4, single crochet, 5, single crochet, 6, single crochet, 7, and then we're going to do a double crochet for 8. So yarn over, double crochet, 1, go to the next space, 2, next space, 3, next space, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then we're going to end the trunk with a triple crochet, and I will show you. So go to the next chain and do a triple, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, pull through, and pull through, yarn over, go through the loop, pull through once, pull through 2 loops, yarn over again, go through the same loop, pull through the first 2 loops, and then pull through 3. And then we're going to do 1 more in this space right here. So it's not a chain that you created for the elephant, but it's still a space that I do a triple crochet. And the reason why is it gives a little bit of a thickness to the trunk, and then I slip stitch back to the trunk, and then I do single crochets the rest of the way up until you meet the beginning where you started. See, the trunk is a little, if you push on your triple crochets, it gives a bump or a ridge for the elephant. And then your singles over here is going to make your trunk curve a little bit, and then I'll show you what I plan to do with my elephant's trunk. So it gives it a little bit of a 3D effect. So if you do not want the 3D effect to the trunk, then I would recommend just finishing with double crochets, and don't add in that it would just be all double crochets, and where you did 3 triple crochets, I would only do 2 double crochets and then join back to the elephant. Otherwise, it's going to kind of bulk up and it would not be flat. Alright, so I'm going to slip stitch into my beginning chain. And then I'm going to cut, and make sure you cut extra, and I'll show you why. So you pull all the way through, tie your knot, and then, okay, so to go back to the trunk, see how it kind of curves up here? So when I do my mommy elephant, see, my trunk kind of curves. And so this one will too. And then when I do my trunk, depending on how I want it to look, if I want it to kind of, you know, arch up a little bit, I might just do one little stitch right here to my blanket. If I want this to like be kind of like a rainbow, I might put a stitch here and then a stitch here, or you can, you know, stitch the whole area right here, but just leave this trunk area just kind of humped like that. But again, like I said, if you want this to be flat, it's really, I mean, that's what your trunk is going to look like, and that kind of looks a little funny. I don't think I like that. I mean, it's possible you can do it, but you're not going to be able to move it around like an elephant trunk is going to look like. Basically, how you want the 3D effect to look is where you're going to, you know, anchor your trunk down with stitches when you're sewing, okay? So now that your elephant is done, I work my my tail into the elephant. You can do this with a needle. Some people like using needles. I usually use my crochet hook until I need my needle. And then the reason why I'm doing this is because I like making my tails work for the other pieces that we still have left to do. So I'm working this in, and I know it's not going to come untied or unraveled because I'm going to use it underneath another area that I'm actually going to tie the eye in. So I'm still working through, and I like doing this because then you don't really mess up the top of the elephant when you work it through that way. Now the eyeball is going to go right here, which is pretty close to the nose. So it's about right here. So I take my yarn and I use my needle, and I take my needle down through my work, going in through my double crochets, and I bring it up right where I want to put my eyeball. And the reason why is because when I make my eyeball, I will have a tail on the back of my eyeball, and I will tie it onto this, and it's just extra security to make sure that my eyeball does not come undone, and it gives this to where I can cut it off and I don't ever have to worry about this unraveling in my work, even from years and years and years from now. If it's tied to another spot, it will stay. It can't like come undone and be seen, you know, anywhere. And I love doing that. I love making my work for me. So that is Mommy Elephant. And so what we're going to do next is we're going to make the eyeball, and then we're going to make the ear. And I make the ear in the same color that I use as an accent color on the blanket. And then Mommy Elephant will be done, and then the only thing we'll have left to do is Baby Elephant. And it's so awesome that Baby Elephant is this exact same thing, except for we just make the tail a little shorter, we make the feet a little smaller, and we don't make the nose as big. But we use pretty much the exact same pattern, a couple smaller stitches, and I will return back when we make the next spot. Okay guys, so in this spot we're going to learn how to make the eye and the ear for the elephant. So what I do is I do my endless circle. So wrap over, hold it with your thumb, pull your working yarn, make an X in the front, and then bring it back, hold it with your pinky and your thumb, go onto the other side and go underneath the first, grab the back, bring it, twist it, make sure that you loop around your crochet hook, and then grab the working yarn that you actually just grabbed and grab it, and then pull it through the loop that you made that's on the hook. And then let go, and you should be left with a circle, and then chain 2. Chain 1. And then I like to make my circle just a little bit smaller, so if you pull on the tail, the circle keeps getting smaller. Don't pull too much, otherwise you'll have to start over. And then we're going to do 8 single crochets in your endless circle. So go through the circle, pull up a loop, grab your yarn, pull it through both. That's a single crochet. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So you got all your single crochets, and all you have to do is pull your tail and it will close your circle. And what I do is I do a slip knot into the beginning chain and then pull that tail as tight as you can get it to close up that circle. Cut your yarn, pull through, pull that tight, and then you have your eye. So what I do is, this is actually way too long in the back, so I'm gonna cut this a little bit. So what I do is I work in my end piece all around the eyeball, and then I cut off that excess. So I'm just working it in, forward, back, going through the top of my single crochets to hide the end piece so it doesn't come unraveled. Okay. So then you can cut that off. And then when I attach my eye, so remember how we fed this through where you wanted your eye to be? That end piece back here, you can actually tie it to the gray. So I just do a double knot, so I tie it down and then tie another knot. And there you go. So now what I do is I feed this gray. I bring my crochet, I grab it, and I just pull it through to the back. And then I'm going to save this because I'm going to use this as a portion to start tying down when I start sewing my elephant to my blanket. So you can actually use that instead of wasting it. And then what I do for the eyeball is I grab my crochet needle. And then I go up through the back, because right now it's in the back of it. And then I just go, I work in the center of the eyeball, and then I just go up and down, up and down. Try not to go too big of spaces because you don't want to ruin your pattern. I mean, it's not a very big pattern for the eye, but it is still something that you, dang it. So then I come back up through. Sometimes it's a little bit of guessing, so you might have to make a couple of pokes up through the top before you get it to the spot that you want. Hook keeps coming out. And do one more. Okay. So you end with the eyeball attached, and then your piece will poke through the back. And then what I do is I do a double knot to that gray piece that you brought through the back. And you're not going to see the back of your elephant, so it's okay if you leave a little bit back here. Just make sure that it's not long enough that it can't end up on the outside of your work after you sew your elephant. So I usually leave about an inch. And then again, like I said, I'll save this. So you do a double knot, that's not going to come off. It's sewed to the blanket, to the elephant, and then the elephant will be sewed to the blanket. So super easy. And then, so you take your contrast collar for the ear, and we make our slip knot. chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then, so you're going to do 8 double crochets in the very first chain. So yarn over, go through that first chain. That's 1 double crochet, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then you're going to chain 1, you're going to turn your work, and then you're going to do a single crochet in the top of your double crochets. So you're going to go through, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then I do one last one in that first chain that you made right here. And then go back into that same space, slip stitch, cut your yarn, and pull it through. And then, so that will be your ear. So then I take my needle and I'll thread this through my work, cut that off, and then I will take this, and this is what I will use to sew my ear onto my elephant. So then you can see that I have mommy elephant, and she's all done. So with the baby elephant, it's the exact same process, except for the ear will stop after the 8 double crochets, and you won't do the second round. And then the baby's eye will only have 5 single crochets as opposed to 8. So like I said, exactly the same thing. It's just a little bit smaller for baby, so we'll pick up on baby on the next spot. Hey guys, so I did want to do one more thing on the ear, so you can make 2 different kinds of ears. So when you do your first round of 8 double crochets, you can do a single crochet in every double crochet on the second round. Or I've done this new elephant where you can make the ear just a little bit bigger and a little bit more rounded, but it's got a little bit of a V shape, so if you want the flat shape, I would only do this 1 single crochet on your second one, but you can also do 2 single crochets in each of your double crochets all the way around to make another different kind of elephant. Alright guys, so now we're going to do little baby elephant, which is so similar to mom. Basically, you just take out, but you do the exact same pattern. So mommy elephant had 5 rounds, whereas baby elephant only has 3. So go ahead and grab your gray yarn and start your magic circle. Make your X, come around, hold it with your pinky, go over, pull that down, twist, grab the working yarn, and pull it through the, darn it, start over. Takes a while to get this one. The magic circle is probably the hardest thing, I think. And I don't know why. It just seems a little bit harder to get that through. Okay. All right, so go ahead and chain. Three, 2, 3, and then we're going to do 11 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Pull your tail tight, and then slip stitch into the top of the first chain, and then pull your tail really tight to try to close your hole as best you can. Chain 3, do a double crochet in that same space, and then 2 double crochet all the way around in each double crochet that you made on the first round. So you'll end up with 24, and I will meet you at the end of this round. Okay, so we have 24 double crochet. Go ahead and slip stitch into the top of your first chain, and then chain 3, double crochet in the same space as your chain 3, do 1 double crochet in the next space, and then 2 double crochet in the next space, and then 1 double crochet in the next space, 2 double crochet, and then just keep rotating 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet until you get all the way around back to the beginning, and I'll pick up there. Alright guys, so this is the end for the baby elephant's body. So go ahead and slip stitch, chain 1, and then we're going to do the same thing that we did for the mommy. So we're going to do single crochets down to the tail, and the tail is about a little bit more like 8 o'clock as opposed to 9 o'clock is where I put mine. So just single crochet until you get a little further than quarter of the way down the circle. So I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and let's do 2 more. 12, 13. Okay, so for the tail, we are going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do a single crochet in working backwards from the chain 4. So you're going to put a single crochet in 3 and then slip stitch back to the beginning. So you see he's just got a little tail. And then single crochet around until we get to the feet. And we do 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and then now we're going to chain 3, and then now we're just going to work double crochets. So we're going to do 3 double crochets, 1 into the same space as the chain 3, 2, and 3. And then what we're going to do is we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then slip stitch into the same space. Slip stitch into the same space as that first, see, just little. And then we're going to slip stitch over 3 chains, so just keep slip stitching. And then now we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. So you can see the gap is about that big. You're going to do a double crochet in that same space, and then 2 double crochets, 1 double crochet. So there's 3 total double crochets and then a chain 3 with the first and the last one. So then we're going to chain 3 and then slip stitch into the same space as your last double crochet. And then you have the little feet, and then we're going to pick up so you can see the little feet there. It looks like I did my one just a smidge bigger. I did another double crochet to make his feet a little bit different sized. You can do whatever you want. If you want the feet to be a little bit smaller, a little bit bigger, all you got to do is add extra double crochets, and then it just changes the size of the feet. And then single crochet up, and I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then for the trunk, we're going to chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we're going to do 6 single crochets. 1, working back, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then we're going to slip stitch into that beginning chain. And then you can see how you just have the little elephant, and it's going to curl just a little bit to be able to grab Mama's tail. And then we're going to finish with single crochets going up the rest of the baby's head. Single crochets around the trunk of the body. And then you're going to end at your beginning stitch, and then you're just going to slip stitch into that first one and cut your work a little bit bigger and pull through. And then you're going to do the exact same thing that you did for the eye and the ear, except for the eye, it's going to be smaller, so you're only going to do 5 single crochet, and the ear you're going to stop after the first round. So I work this thread to where I want my eyeball to be. Okay, so then I leave that, grab your black, do another magic circle, go under, pull it through and twist, grab the working yarn and get it into that. Okay. All right. Now just chain 1, and we're going to do 5 single crochets. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then you're going to pull that tight. You're going to slip stitch into the first, and then you're going to pull it real tight, and then go ahead and cut your yarn. This doesn't have to be real long. Okay, and then work your tail in around the tops of your single crochets. And again, for the baby elephant, I used my G hook. Probably should have said that at the beginning. All right, so now I have the little eyeball and I can tie it to the gray. And I'm just going to make a double knot. Okay. So then let's go ahead and take the gray and pull it into the back of the work. So you can just go up through the back, find the gray, pull it down, and then now you have your tail to sew it. So go ahead and I always have to wet my ends down just a little bit, otherwise I can't ever seem to get it through the eye of the hook. All right, so then go ahead and come up through the back and then just sew all the way around. And again, I try to kind of stay in the middle of the eye. Down. All right, so there the eye is sewn on, and then turn it over, and then you can make a double knot in the back with the gray that you pulled through. Pull it tight, cut off the black excess. I leave about 1 inch. And then now we can make the ear. So the ear, make your slip knot, chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you're going to work 8 double crochets in that last stitch, sorry, your first stitch, your first chain. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then I just want to make a slip stitch into that same stitch, cut, pull, and then you have baby elephant ear. So you're going to take your needle, work this into the rest of, to make it disappear into your work, and then you're going to take this to sew baby elephant's ear onto his little head. And then you will be all done. So super cute. So you can also, if you want baby elephant to be slightly bigger, you can use your regular crochet hook that I was using with the rest. So you can do it with an H, and then just make this and this with your G size hook. So it's just a little bit bigger, or sorry, these will be a little bit smaller compared to the body of your elephant. So again, you can do anything that you want. You can change your needles. You can do bigger needles, smaller needles, depending on what you want your work to be. That's just what I personally did. So I will come back and we will sew on our elephants to the actual blanket, and this tutorial will be finished. Okay guys, so this is going to be just a little bit trickier. So for the tutorial, I'm doing my blanket in my lap just because it's a little bit easier, but I have pinned my elephants where I want them on the blanket so I can move my blanket around. I just use normal sewing pins. Just make sure that you are really careful where you put your fingers because the ends are really sharp. So I go ahead and use the tail of the back of my elephant so to work my my sewing. So I go up through and back down, but when you go down through, you kind of peek through the back and just work in the front of your stitches. And the reason why is because if you go all the way through the blanket and then back up through, you're going to be able to see your gray stitchings on the other side of the blanket, and you don't want to be able to see that. So and then come back up through the edge. So I'm going to work on right on the inside of the tops of the single crochet. So I'm going to work in these little areas right here so that you can't see any of the stitches, and it's close enough to the edge that you can peek through once you've gone through, like let's say the next stitch. You can peek through the back and just make sure that you're working in the tops of the stitches on the back side of the blanket, and then just come back up through. And then I skip every couple of stitches, and then when you run out of yarn, all you got to do is make a little knot, tie it off, or work it into your work and just grab another one and start over. Okay, so I'm going to go down through the trunk, but it looks like I'm going to run out of yarn. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to loop it around twice and go up through the circle with my needle, and I will end up tying a knot, and then I'll be able to tie that off. Okay. So I tied the knot, take what little thread I have left, and then I go up through the gray, any of the gray in any area, and pull it through. And then cut off any excess that you have, and then pull them, and it has disappeared. You cannot see any stitchings on the back. So I am going to continue to sew my, I'm going to start back up with the elephant nose. So cut some gray yarn, start up again. All right, so when you start, you pull through. Sorry, we're gonna go through the bottom to start. And then leave that little tail there, and then go down through the top, pull tight, and then tie it in a knot on the back side of your work. That way you can't see it. I only leave about an inch. Okay, so now we can start back up with the elephant's nose. So I'm going to work through the tops of my stitches. Again, you should never go all the way through to the back of the blanket. So top of the stitch, come up through. Now, if you want your elephant nose to be completely flat, you'll go all the way to the very end of your blanket, or all the way to the very end of the little nose. But I don't want mine. I want mine to be kind of a 3D effect and to curl a little bit. So I'm going to come up through and I'm going to stop about halfway, and then I'm going to cross over to the going down, and I'm going to come back to the body. So his nose will still be a little bit loose. It'll be able to curl up. So again, when I'm sewing, I'm going down through the top. I'm just going through one of the stitches on the top of the blanket in the back, and then coming back up through the top. And then I'm just working about every 2 stitches or so around the elephant. It doesn't have to be every single stitch. You can make it every single stitch. Take you a while, but I don't really think that you need it on every single stitch. And then now I'm down to the feet, and then I'm just going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to go all the way around the feet. I'm going to get to the tail. I'm not going to sew my tail down at all because I want my tail to be able to kind of lift up like that, okay? So I want his tail loose, and then I'm going to sew up to the head, and then I'm going to be completely done. And then I'm going to come over to Mommy, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to, I'm going to put a little anchor here for the nose. I'm going to bring it up and put just a little stitch right here for this nose, but I'm going to leave this free to have a 3D effect. And then I'm going to work my way around Mommy's body. I'm going to leave her tail open, and then I'm going to sew all the way around the circle. And then I'll take out my pins, and my blanket is completely done. Sewing is so super easy. Just make sure, like I said, that you go down through the top and then only work in the beginning of your stitches. So you can see, your stitches have a front and backs. So don't go all the way through like this. Just work in the top of the stitch, okay? So, you just want to be on that top that way, because see, I can't see my needle really. I mean, you can see it through the other gaping holes, but you can't see it on that single crochet if I just go through the top stitch on the one side. So that's what you're going to want to do. Just make sure that you can't see your your elephant stitches through the other side, but yet it is still sewn onto that blanket. So good job, guys. I'm so happy that you completed the tutorial on how to make the little elephant blanket. I'll be posting other little characters that you can do if you want to make the chevron pattern and you want to change the animals, or if you just want to put more little woodland creatures or different exotic creatures. It's just going to be a fun little pattern that you can change around for different nurseries. It makes a great baby shower gift. Thanks, guys.